Them that's got shall get, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible says, and it still is news. Mama may have, Papa may have. Well, God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Yes, the strong gets more while the weak ones fade. Empty pockets don't ever make the grade. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Once upon a time, in a neat little cottage, there were 3 bears. One was a mama bear, and one was a daddy bear, and one was a wee bear. One day they went a-walking through the deep woods of-stalking, and there came a little girl with blonde hair. Well, her name was Goldilocks, and upon the door she knocked, but no one was there. A Scooby-Doo-Bop-Boo-Boo. All right. That was my little morning risk out there, my little courageous moment here. What's yours? What's your courageous? What's your risk? What's the thing you're putting out there? I used to be an actor and a singer many years ago, and I've had some amazing experiences as an actor singer, and yet some of my most profound failures came from that world of being an actor or singer. And that is what I'm putting out there today, is the fact that some of the best learning I've ever had was from failure. It was the most painful. I BS you not. Of course, I'm not going to bullshit you. I never do. But some of the most painful stuff occurred when I was in that world. But a good 30 years ago, I've told this story before, but I mean, I still love to sing, as you can tell. And obviously I took, Mama may have, Papa may. I love singing. So I wanted to put it out there that I do sing, and I didn't allow for the failures, and we can also rename it. Is it a failure, or was it an opportunity for growing, an opportunity for excuse me, for learning? For me, that is where I want you to understand that when I was an actor, when I was a singer 30 years ago, and I was writing my own plays and putting it out there and risking it a lot, I was kind of one of these people that didn't really, at the moment, think, oh, nothing bad's going to happen from this. Well, what happened was I wrote a play about Mae West called May, and I played May. Can you tell that I could play Mae West? And when I did that beautiful experience, I sunk my blood, my sweat, my tears, a lot of money into it. I produced it as well. And this was pre-internet. And this was a moment in which the show, it had music, it was just awesome. But of course, pre-internet, we're much more vulnerable to the reviews of the newspapers. And so we had full houses the first week. Awesome experience. But then there was the review from the theater reviewer from the Toronto Star. And he was the main game in town at the time. A couple of other reviewers with the CBC, Richard Azunian and this guy. And what occurred was he didn't like the show. He wanted to compare it to, at the time, Les Mis was also playing in Toronto. I mean, how can you compare a little show, a small production, to a Les Mis? But nevertheless, he did. And he put a picture of me, my headshot, a big picture of me, on the front section of the art section of the Toronto Star, pre-internet. So that was the main game in town as to what was happening in theater at the time. And he basically wrote, "Throw May a Mae West." Now, in Canada, at the time, we had little pastries that would sell at corner stores by a company named Vachon, and we used to have Mae West cakes. So I thought he was saying, throw May food, throw me food, throw food at me. You know how they used to throw food in the theater? But indeed, 2 years ago, I was informed that he wasn't meaning that. He was meaning throw May, a Mae West, which is life preserver, is a Britishism, is a British term for a life preserver. And they called it a Mae West because it was, life preserver, and you know how Mae West had big bosoms. So anyways, throw Mae a life preserver, throw Mae a Mae West, and then went on to sort of skewer the show. And for me, that was like my 6th year in the business at the time. And for me, because of my own family of origin stuff of a tremendous amount of stuff there, this was just like a massive sort of confirmation that putting myself out was not safe. And even though when you're in the acting, singing business, you better have some skin, and you better have a nice thick skin to be able to handle this kind of criticism. But I didn't. And so it made me decide I just said, I'm out. I got to leave this business. And so it was my swan song. And I have regrets because it was a great play. And I still have the costumes and stuff. And I sometimes post pictures of me as Mae West. But them that's got, God bless the child that's got their own, God bless the child that's got their own. Because from that, I really, really went through a massive period of depression, like really bad depression, and hiding because I was ashamed. I was completely ashamed that my show was getting skewered. And we had, ouch, indeed, David. We had, and it was publicly skewered pre-internet. And we had good houses, like full houses for 7 days. And then the review came out, and then cancellations. Wow. And, I was with a team. I had a little team of actors that was working with me. I had written a play that was not just me. It was myself and a piano player and the dresser. And it was about Mae West's life. And it was the coolest show because it was about, her life as she had written it based on her book. And so for me, that moment sort of galvanized that if I put myself out there in the public, it will be dangerous stuff. Yet I have a personality that enjoys being out there and likes to sing and likes, as I sang at the top of this broadcast. And so it set me on a journey to seek out another career, which is why I'm in this career as a psychotherapist and as a holistic psychotherapist and as a speaker and as an author. And I really enjoy all of this. But I had been hiding in my office quite a bit. And I guess for me to put this out there, what I'm trying to say is there is a moment in time with a lot of people that failure will shove them back in their box. And that was my moment that shoved me back in my box. I was out, and then shoved back in. The question for you, I guess I'm asking is, and before I go, what I'm asking is, what shoved you back in your box? What failure shoved you back in your box? And also, what'd you learn? And what are you learning? And is there something that you're getting or got from your failure experience? Because I promise you, my failure, and then again, let's define failure. Was it a failure? Today I go, is it failure? I have a client that used to say, if I try, and it doesn't come out how I hoped, I see that as failure. I'm like, really? Isn't it not trying at all the failure? I think that's the real failure, is if you don't get out there and try, whatever it may be. And so what's your definition of failure? For me at the time was, if you try, and you put out there and it does not get received the way you want it to be received, that's failure. That's what I actually thought, that was failure. And that's why I went into my depression, and that's why I went into my sort of back in my box, sort of in the closet, so to speak. But I have since redefined failure. And it's not been easy because, a lot of me has definitely worked to shift the story in me that says that success is dependent on the outcome, or success is dependent on how it's received, the thing you're putting out there. And I think that there's got to be both. I think that, success definitely needs to be defined in terms of, did you put it out there? Did you try? Did you get up after you failed? And did you get out there again? These are all, to me, successes. And then, of course, having some success actually monetarily and all those things, I define that as success as well. But for me, it's not the only benchmark anymore. When I will get back to singing one day again, because I know that I sort of got traumatized with that world. You know, trauma's a bitch. Trauma's a bitch. It'll make you hide from so many bloody things. It will just make you hide. And I know that was my trauma for sure. And it was memories of, it was sort of like that memory was a memory of so many other types of traumas of rejection. And so I know that that's my journey with rejection for sure, for sure. And Maureen Lynch says, when one of the ways you experience abuse is through shaming, it's hard to put yourself out there and be vulnerable to exposure and criticism. You want to keep yourself hidden, but then you can't be successful if you hide. So exactly. And, you know, as a therapist, I get to hide in my office basically, and, you know, and I do great work with people. Whoa, awesome, fantastic. Bringing them up, setting them on their way, bringing them up, setting them on their way. But definitely something had been missing, and that's why I put myself out there more now. These courageous conversations have been tremendously healing for me as a human being. And I get to not hide anymore, and that's also scary. I'll be very effing honest with you. It's also pretty scary. And yes, Dana Cote, trauma is a bitch. Yes, it is. How are you doing, Dana? I know you're going through your own stuff physically with the Lyme, so I'm praying, making sure things move in a great direction for you, sweetheart. But I really want to say that the bottom line is rebuild the child within you. Constantly rebuild that child within you, because if not, you're at the mercy of the traumas always. And to me, post-traumatic growth is what I'm really looking at, because we go about the business of a lot of post-traumatic stress. And yes, there is stress from trauma and hiding and all that, but post-traumatic growth. And David Hawksworth says these traumatic experiences are so formative, either to shove us permanently in our box or ultimately to result in our evolution to become something greater. The question is, how will we view and how will we handle the setback? Exactly. For me, it's been a journey of crawling out of the box and learning from the setbacks, and then trying again and realizing that what other people think is not nearly as important as I have feared, you know, not nearly as important. Yet they still impact me. Yet I still feel shaky when I put myself up. When I just sang at the top of this thing, I don't know if all of you caught me singing. I sang God Bless the Child, and I sang a couple of things. I really thought, oh God, they're going to hate me. But at the same time, who cares? Because I really had fun, right? And one day I'm going to sing in many different ways, and I'll invite you all there. But the truth of the matter is that what's the failure in putting yourself out there if it's not received well? Is the not received well the failure, or is the not putting yourself out there in the first place the failure? And is any of it a failure? So that is the kind of stuff that I'm interested in, courageous thoughts and courageous conversations. And risking it, I think, is part of the journey. Where are you risking it? Are you risking it? Are you putting it out there? Are you keeping yourself in your box? And if you are, how is that serving you? Or is that, you know, for me, to keep myself in my box, how that served me was I got to protect myself, and I got to sort of have like a salve, like a calming salve, to S-A-L-V-E, solve, to just it was like a way to go, I'm tapping out of this world of acting and singing, because it's too other person oriented. You know, it's the businesses. How'd your show go? How were the houses? You know, what did the reviewers say? What did the producers say? What did this happen? It's all about others. And I needed to go back into a world in which I was the only determining factor of how I was feeling. But it's easy to be a Zen monk in a cave. Can you be a Zen monk? Can you be a Zen monk in the middle of the big city? That's the question. Can you be Zen? Can you be calm? Can you be kind to yourself? And that's the question I ask myself. Can I be okay in the face of others and others' opinions and others and family of origin and all of that stuff? Can you be okay? And I guess that's the question. And I believe you can. And it's all about, mind discipline, thought discipline, mind discipline, having courageous conversations with yourself, having courageous thoughts. And yeah, me too, Dana. I'm feeling this so much too, babe. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling it. But it's like having courageous thoughts and having courageous acts and risking it and testing it out. This is what's going to, I feel, for me anyways, heal a lot of that fear of rejection or fear of putting it out there. I feel that is the healer right now. It's no longer being, one of my favorite things to talk about when I do a talk is this notion that when we're doing a bow and arrow, you got to go back. You got to pull back. And I had to pull back for a long time. I had to pull back for almost 20 years, people. 20 years. And pull back, gather my strength, gather my knowledge, become disciplined, and then boom, whoosh, into the stratosphere. Let that with focus. And that's what I am absolutely doing and putting it out there and encouraging you to do the same. And we're on a journey together. And keep having those courageous conversations with yourself and certainly having those courageous conversations with others with a set of rules of engagement. I think that's important. Rules of how you speak, how you like different boundaries. And I'm just going to do a small little ditty before I end, because that's what I said I would do, which is, once upon a time in a neat little cottage, there were 3 bears. One was a mama bear, and one was a daddy bear, and one was a wee bear. One day they went a-walking through the deep woods a-stalking, and there came a little girl with blonde hair. Well, her name was Goldilocks, and upon the door she knocked, but no one was there. Scoobity-da-doo-doo-doo-doo. One day she walked right in, had herself a ball. She didn't care. One day they came back, and they said, "Where's that girl? She is there having her porridge." A scoobity-da-doo-doo-doo. Have yourself an amazing day, and have a courageous conversation with yourself, and have a courageous conversation with others, and love yourself. Enjoy yourself. Mwah. All right.